Microdose, yeah. Microdose, 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 dose. Microdose, microdose, dose. Microdose, microdose, dose.
We're doing this in 5, 4, 3. What's good, y'all? Kush Hayes here, coming to you with another edition of the Microdose, local by choice, international by nature edition. These are some of my favorite episodes. Returning all the way from jolly old England, the United Kingdom, where nobody knows your name, the host, James Marshall. What's good, dude?
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. Yeah, always glad to be here. Always a lot of fun Cheers chat.
Dude, we have the best time talking about Cheers. It's been since August 20th was the last time you were on this show here. And you introduced me to one of your new co-hosts. We got introduced to Troy. And tonight, you're introducing me to a new friend, Barry Hall. Barry, what's good, dude? How you doing?
Hello, nice to be here and good to meet you.
Good to meet you too, man. It's exciting times, man. I always like meeting James's new hosts. But you're not necessarily new. You've been around for a minute, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been involved. Well, I was involved from the start, really.
Oh, fine.
In terms of helping them out, set up mics, sound, that sort of thing.
Okay.
And then I became their biggest fan. I was listening to them every morning, walking my dog. And
oh, that's great.
It's the most relaxing, lovely podcast to listen to. I absolutely love it.
And then you came in and poured sleaze.
Yeah. I'm the sleaze man, apparently.
Oh, how so?
I think James has to take some responsibility. We lead each other down a sordid path occasionally.
We encourage each other in the worst possible.
That's what friends are for, guys. We just exited season 6. We met Rebecca. Sam returned from selling the bar, needed a new job. Carla had another baby. Go figure. And Norm started painting and decorating, doing something outside of his accounting roles. We had the first Bar Wars. Sam and Woody made a bet to kiss Rebecca, and Rebecca lost Evan Drake forever. What are your thoughts on season 6 as a whole?
I think it's a good contender for one of my favorite seasons of the whole show out of all 11. I think they could have struggled in replacing Shelley Long as the female lead. But I think after episode 6 or so, they figured out what they were doing, how Rebecca would interact with the rest of the characters. And yeah, from then on, it was no pun intended, just punny by nature. It was smooth sailing. Yeah.
What about you, Barry? What'd you get out of season 6?
Well, for me, it's a bit of a trip down memory lane because I grew up with the Kirstie Allen, Woody era rather than the coach, Diane Long part of things. So for me, it's like going straight back to my childhood. And that's where I kicked off with those series. So it's great for me. I find that I really like Kirstie's character, a complete change of scene from Diane, and I do find she's a bit put upon. I feel sorry for her most of the time.
That was always the weird dichotomy or weird paradox. Was Shelley Long was a good actress on Cheers, but her character was annoying, and it's supposed to be, but that's just how effective it was. We were just like, oh, I'm so glad she's going away. And it's not fair to Shelley Long, but how did you grow up watching Cheers, or did you grow up watching Cheers? Did you just stumble into it because of the podcast?
No, I was watching it very young, so sort of mid 80s I started. My dad was obviously a fan, and yeah, I've loved it. At that age, Woody was my favorite, probably because I didn't get much else. But yeah, I probably in my time watched every episode because I went back to the start years later. But now I'm watching every so often when I join the podcast. So my specifics on episodes are hazy, but I know the whole sort of series arcs.
That's fair. So you were watching them in their first run incarnations?
It's a good question. Probably,
because it does get a little fuzzy then. Syndication's also a thing. Like I remember like new episodes of Cheers would be running, but 5 days a week you'd see something just from like 2 years ago. And you know, when you're 7, 8, 9, like 2 years ago is a lifetime ago. Like, oh, it's old shit. What?
I think it was probably first run if it was Kirstie Alley years in the UK, because I think there was a 5-month delay between US and UK,
Really?
which back then wouldn't have been big. It's roughly the same now for shows like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which take ages to be shown in the UK.
Oh, really? Are they just not transferring over through the random apps, or?
I don't know what it is, but the latest season of Brooklyn Nine-Nine only started a couple of weeks ago here in the UK,
right.
and it finished around Christmas in the US, I think.
Okay. I've never seen the show, so but that's still baffling to me.
The UK has a history of being sort of second, an afterthought when it comes to releases of big American productions. Films were always delayed by a long time, and it was frustrating.
Except for when you get them before us. Like, I can't tell you how confused I was when I'm checking online. I was like, why is the United Kingdom getting Captain America a week before us? This is outrageous.
Yeah, we've started to catch up now. It must be something to do with the production houses being in the UK, or maybe the VFX stuff.
It's a tax thing. It's one of the reasons Star Wars filmed in the UK, where if they filmed enough in the UK using UK studios, they could claim it was a British production and therefore get a tax rebate. Yeah.
Excellent.
Sneaky.
I picked up the box set on iTunes a few years ago, and just to prep for this show today, just turned on a couple of the episodes for, ending at season 6, bled into season 7. I ended up going like 10 episodes into season 7, because just once you start, like, it just picks up right where you leave off with it. Like, it's just all comedy. The timing is fantastic. The topics are still trending. Like, Cheers could be in 1984, or it could still be in 2022. It's pretty interesting how timeless it is. Like, I picked up the Night Court box set over Christmas time. One of my favorite shows growing up. Watched it in syndication, tried to watch it in first run when I was old enough to. Very many happy memories. Sorry to say, does not hold up. Like, it's you watch it, and it's actually an interesting study on just like, well, NBC really believed in this show, but like they are constantly retooling it as it goes along. And sure enough, they're throwing some force majeure where 2 of their cast members died back to back. So, you still got those problems, but like it took 3 or 4 years before it finally found its groove. And then a year and a half later, they just got a whole new writing staff. So it's brand new, and it's not hitting the same strokes again. You're just like, oh, this is a slog to get through. Like, 7 years of Night Court somehow took longer to get through than 11 years of Cheers for me in my binging.
Have you ever seen that, James?
Seen clips. It's one of the shows which is harder to access here in the UK, which is a shame, because following Harry Anderson's roles in Cheers, it was something I was interested in watching a lot of, and I know they're bringing it back with Melissa Rauch as Harry Stone's daughter, and I think John Larroquette's back in it as well.
John Larroquette's a part of it, yeah.
But I've not watched a full episode just because it's more difficult to access here. Yeah.
I would tell you seasons 3 through 6 are the best years. Again, the first 2 are very formative. Then by the time they catch their stride in season 3, we still actually have a death in the family. But then once Marsha Warfield comes on, like, it's a nice tight lock. And those 3 or 4 years are pretty fantastic. But then 7, 8, and 9 are just, I don't know, something's missing. There's a big component not there. Whereas, Cheers has had also major overhauls. Coach died, Shelley Long left, Kirstie Alley should not have fit in as easy as she did, and yet that show is never not funny.
It's also something so homely and comforting about it that from the theme tune in to the bar scene, everything just welcomes you in instantly. From even Norm walking in and everyone shouting his name, it's like these people, this location. It's your bar as well.
Comfort food for the television audience.
Yes.
So
Nice.
You guys are already into season 7. I believe you're 4 episodes in now as of yesterday or Wednesday.
Yep, our 4th episode of season 7 dropped yesterday.
All right.
Which is the one where Sam goes to Mexico.
Sam goes to Mexico, and this isn't the first time he's been on some sort of like bartender exchange program, and he always has the best time south of the border. And you just like, I want to see an international edition of Cheers, like just Sam just hobnobbing it again in Costa Rica or wherever he was supposed to be. Rebecca shows up in Mexico and somehow has a gun with her. What?
Yeah, we questioned this.
I have not
like airport security
yet, I watched it. I even sent you a text about it like earlier this morning. I was like, how many times has Sam had a gun pulled on him, man? And you're like, 5 now. I was like, what?
There's a few.
Well, is it easier to get a gun to Mexico or from Mexico?
This is the 80s, so there's no TSA. Security is pretty loose at this time.
Yeah, just, well, what's that? Oh, it's just, a lighter. Okay, yeah. It's fine. Just send him through.
My mom, after college, was one of the few people who were like, you know what, I think I'm going to leave the nice, boring, and quiet life of a farmer in Iowa, and I'm going to go to a war zone in Vietnam and be a radio DJ. And why she did that, I don't know. But she would tell me stories like, yeah, I'd have a revolver in my purse when I'd get on the plane. And, it was different times, son, different times. I'm like, you brought a gun on an airplane? Like, even in 1990, it's like, what are you thinking? She's like, well, I need it for protection, I was like, I'm a single woman out in Vietnam. I'm like, what are you going to do? Like,
that's an amazing story.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, she's got a lot of interesting stuff like that. But, James, what should we look forward to in season 7?
That is a good question. We have important news from the Cranes, which is exciting. I'll just ask them. I've just thought of that because that's the one I'm editing at the moment. We meet Kelly for the first time in season 7.
Oh, we do. That's exciting times.
It is, as well as I believe this is season 7. I'm just.
We have the return of Bar Wars as well.
We do. We have Bar Wars 2.
Bar Wars comes very quickly in season 7. It's one of the later. The first Bar Wars is very late into season 6, but it's like episode 8 or 9, I want to say, in season 7. They're like, we got to do this again.
It's quite early, and Maggie as well, Post Girl Maggie.
Oh,
Cliff's
Lady
Cliff's
Love.
romantic man.
Yeah. Those Maggie episodes are always weird. There's not, less than a handful, but it's always just like, what's happening here?
She's a peculiar character, but what I like about it is that she has the same kind of passion for the post office. That seems to be the sole thing that make Cliff and her work as a couple. But
he still somehow fucks it up. It's really pathetic. It's like, this is the perfect woman for him, and he's just like, yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna play hard to get on this one. That's my Cliff Clavin.
That's an excellent Cliff Clavin. James, you did a bit of a Cliff Clavin, don't you?
Yeah, well, there's a little known fact that back in...
That's outstanding. I left my Cheers viewing last night when Norm was put in a position where he had to pretend to be gay in order to get this one client. And it's hilarious for multiple reasons. One, Norm you shouldn't project and you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but Norm doesn't look like the gayest man ever. He doesn't look like a gay anything. And then when he does have to he doesn't even have to soak up his pride. Just like, I got to get this money. So if they need me to be gay, I'll be gay. But then he never, plays it over the top. He doesn't do a funny little accent. He just goes, all right, so how you guys doing? I'm Norm. And then he just drops his hand like that. And that's it. That's the full extent of his gay role. And I was just like, oh, that's amazing. Just the amount of respect that George went, just like, yeah, we can't go over the top with this. Like, Norm has to be so unenthusiastic about well, maybe I'm not gay. I don't know. Just tip the hand like that. And then those folks just eat it up, like they can't get enough of it. They're like, of course, this is how. Look, I can't believe Cheers is a gay bar. This is fantastic. Look at all this.
It's really well done. It's done to a T, and I think George went. You can kind of see his upbringing in Second City and other improv things by just having these subtle mannerisms and being like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to get a spritzer instead of a beer," and they'll be like, "Well, then he must be gay."
And again, the 1980s and Boston, it's different time, different land. But even then, they didn't go. They kept it within the box of respect. At least I think they did. Someone out there on Twitter might say differently, but
Cheers has always done that quite well, hasn't it? I mean, it existed in a time when it would be very easy to really push some of these boundaries and be insensitive, and actually, it's held its own and it still holds up today in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm. I brought it up to James the first time he was on the show. Like, this show covered topics and trends that we're still talking about now. We're talking about it more than ever now, but like in season 7, you're going to come, it's a throwaway line, but like they sort of explore what is gender identity. And you're just like, wow, earlier in the series, we deal with Sam finding out one of his best friends is now a homosexual and how he deals with that, and again with Norm, it's like, oh yeah, that guy Sam over there, that's my boyfriend. They're not afraid to go there, but they also are never disrespectful to any of those communities. They put their little spin on it. They play for fun and laughs, but at no point has ever come off insulting. At least I don't think it does. I could be totally wrong on this and find out there's like just Reddit threads like, I can't believe Norm. Blah, 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 blah.
What I love about that episode where Norm goes, that's my boyfriend. The husband goes, isn't that the Red Sox picture? And you can tell Norm's just going, oh yeah, shit, he's famous. I forgot that.
And that could be problematic for Sam, but he also plays it off too for, he's like, where are we going with this, Norm? All right, buddy, I guess. One of the funniest things about that whole episode, and again, Norm just being so cavalier about everything and just being nonchalant and just very unenthusiastic about this persona he's trying to play, is I was in the Castro 2 days ago. Are you guys familiar with the Castro at all?
The theater.
I was at the theater specifically, but it's in a neighborhood called the Castro, which is a very gay neighborhood in San Francisco. It's, like top 5 gay neighborhoods in the world. Lots of rainbow flags, plenty of dudes just hanging out at the bar, because we're still in a post-pandemic society. Bars are actually now also on the sidewalk, so everyone's just being nice. Everyone's just being civil, living life, and being good. I'm at the Castro Theater because Michelle Yeoh is being honored at the SF International Film Festival. I thought we were also seeing a movie. It's a whole thing. Anyways, I'm standing in line very early for this Michelle Yeoh Q&A with Maggie O, and all of a sudden, just again, everybody's just having a good time. Beautiful sunny day. And then all of a sudden, just 3, maybe 4 random naked dudes just start walking down the street. And the only thing covering them up is just like gold cock sock. But like, this is the thing to do. Like, it's April. May's in 2 days. All right.
That's a statement if it's gold. That was a choice.
They were gold.
They just go.
That's their best sock.
That's the best sock. Exactly. Yeah. That was their Wednesday sock.
Well, if we had the weather for it, might give it a go.
I would have said it was a little too chilly also, but the sun was out. So, this is clearly not their first rodeo. They've done that lap down Castro Street 1,000 times if they did it once. But comparing that to what I just saw on TV last night, I'm just like, oh my God. Like, yeah. What is wrong with this one couple? There's nothing homoerotic happening in this bar whatsoever. Like, this man is just the most benign life force in the world. But they're eating it up. Let's see. What else do we got here? Oh, shit. The boys skydive.
Yeah. The main thing we thought about that episode is that, got a budget increase, didn't you, James Burrows?
No. Not really. Everything's done on a sound set. Someone skydived, but it definitely wasn't the cast of Cheers.
Yeah. That's what it was. Like, they had video of someone skydiving and promoting Cheers in some way. Yeah.
I actually missed the early episodes where they didn't leave the bar. I think they had to be a bit more creative with the writing and leaving it sometimes.
That's exclusively season 1. We don't leave the bar until episode 1, season 2. We actually get to see Shelley Long's apartment. But before that, that everything happens only in that bar. Maybe we get the slide of an exterior of like Norm's house, but that was the extent of it. Norm's like, "You're never gonna believe what happened on Cheers last week, Vera." There you go, man. Folks, the Where Nobody Knows Your Name podcast comes out every Thursday. You can find it on anchor.fm/WNKYN. They're also on Twitter at WNKYN Cheers. But I listen to the podcast on Spotify. I'm sure it's on a bunch of different platforms. Where else can we find the podcast, James?
We also put things up on Patreon. We have bonus episodes which will go up there, for example,
Nice.
where we talk about Wings, St. Elsewhere, Simpsons, anything which has kind of crossed over or paid homage to Cheers, as well as an upcoming one in the middle of season 7 from a much more recent show. So we'll tease it with that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I want to know. Now I have to subscribe to Patreon. So
Patreon's on at the moment, who get access to our bonus episodes and newsletters, and who get their name shouted out in every episode of our podcast as a thank you, is $9 per month, and that gets you all of those listed so far, as well as just access to what we've got to say about things as weird as that St. Elsewhere crossover, which was weird, and I don't think
it's strange because it's a weird tonal shift. Like St. Elsewhere was bizarre. That just hardcore drama, at least for the 80s, was that hard medical drama, and Cheers is that funny, lighthearted, hey, everyone knows your name here, but like you take that lighthearted environment and you put it in like the deep, dark, dank cinematography of St. Elsewhere, and you're like, oh, this is weird. And then Carla's just scolding these doctors for no reason.
Yeah, Carla's just really angry at them. And they're going there, but like, I don't know what to do. My son, because of his autism, I don't think I'm doing a good job as a father. And Carla comes in and was like, hey, your drinks order is shit. It's just calm down.
Do you mind? We've had a long day at St. Elsewhere. St. Elsewhere? Ugh, that fucking place? Oh, kill yourself. Don't forget the tip.
She's so mean. It's
guys, can they find you on other Twitter accounts as well?
Not on other Twitter, but we are on Instagram, where you get a lot of our imagery posts, as well as connecting with people who have worked on Cheers, and we often plug them and then us, vice versa. Mandy Ingber, for example, as Annie Tortelli, she's
cool.
Quite we contact with her quite often on Instagram, so it's worth checking out.
James really does an amazing job on the Instagram. Just the level of content he puts out, but also the funny, using memes all the time. Awesome job, James does.
The secret is recycling. Template and change it.
Okay. Yeah. My Instagram game is shit. And most of my social media game is too, but that's another conversation for another time. Folks, I do a bunch of stuff here. You're already listening to the Microdose, so you know when and where to find that. But I do other things too. The Kick-Ass Movie Podcast just had its season 2 finale. Me and the director of Pact of Vengeance, Master Len Kabaczynski, we talk about his favorite kung fu movie ever, and it's David Carradine's Circle of Iron. That's available on the BosNet.family and all the major platforms, Stitcher, Spotify, etc. You can also find me on the Waffle Box. It's the best part of Wednesdays. Me and friend of the family, Mike Fish, we talk about everything and nothing all at the same time. You can find that on YouTube. You can find that at waffleboxpod.com and also on the BosNet.family. So for Barry Hall, for James Marshall, and the Where Nobody Knows Your Name podcast, I've been Kush Hayes. You've been you.
Microdose, 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 yeah, microdose.
from the BosNet family.
I'm just punny by nature.